Everybody. I'm Justin Brennan. I'm the Cultural Resource Manager for the Cocopah Indian Tribe. I'm joined today by...
Joe Rodriguez, Director of the Cocopah Museum.
And we're extremely excited today. This has been kind of a long-term interest in project that's finally coming to fruition. Ever since I was a little kid, thinking about Cocopah music, I remember asking my grandfather, do you remember flutes? Are there ever Cocopah flutes? I remember dreaming about flutes. And looking in the photos in the museum, that's what kind of really brought this on for both of us. Is just like, whatever happened to these flutes? What did they sound like? What were they like?
Yeah, somewhat of a mystery because, growing up on the reservation, we've not seen it. We've been familiar with the other instruments like the gourds, the deer hoof rattles, and but as far as flutes go, we're not familiar with it at all, and so we know that it's been a part of our history or heritage and the culture, but we haven't seen it since I was born in '70. I know that it was prior to my birth that flutes have been in use and in being constructed or put together by our elders, those that have gone on before us, and so it's not something that we had seen, often or commonly around us. So it's
a photo from 1868. It's a really famous photo of a Cocopah man sitting down on a chair. He's holding one flute in his hand. He's got another resting on the chair. There's some playing cards on the foreground. And those flutes were basically what inspired me to try to recreate these. And we got in contact with a gentleman named Michael Allen. He's known for producing rim-blown flutes, which are the style of flutes that were played all up and down the Colorado River. The Mojave, the Kachan, even the ancient Anasazi used that style of flute. So he had the experience, the technical knowledge to make these. So we sent him the photos, and based off the measurements from that photo from 1868 of that Cocopah man, we have some flutes. And so let's check them out. Cool. These just came in. It's like early Christmas. Cocopah Christmas.
Did he say how long it took him to make these, or?
Well, we've been in communication for about 4 months, and he's been working on them for about that long. So, okay, there they are. All right, so there were 2 styles of flutes in that photograph, in that iconic photograph. The first one is the 3-hole flute. That's the one he's actually holding in his hand, and you'll see him. He's kind of holding it like this. And you can just barely see the holes that are associated with that. Based off the measurements, you can see they're really far towards the tip. And this is actually unique. This is something different than the Mojave or any others had. This is actually more similar to the Maricopa or the Pipash style flute. It has a little fipple, which means very easy to play. I probably can play this right now, albeit poorly, but... So
you take requests?
Not yet. I'll get there.
Wow.
So that's awesome. That's extremely straightforward to play.
So it's about a 3/16 of an inch thick.
Yeah, they're really long. I mean, you saw them in the photos how big they were.
Over 2 feet now.
Mm-hmm. And this is the other one, and this is the rim blown, and I can only show you vaguely how you're supposed to do this. Not that I'm going to be able to. So you notice this one has 4 holes.
Mm-hmm.
This is much more common. You see these with Mojave style, Cocopah style. The Anasazi, of course, had 2 extra flutes, but those kind of are very ancient.
2 extra holes or 2 extra?
2 extra holes, so
Okay.
6 total for the Anasazi. But we have the 4, and then you basically break the air right across here, split the air. So
It's almost like a bottle.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to be able to get a sound out of it yet. This is the hardest style of flute to play. It takes a long time, and luckily Michael Allen, the Coyote old man who made these, he said that he's willing to basically sit down and help me learn how to play this, because it does take a while and you do need an experienced teacher. But this is the first time this Cocopah flute has existed since then. He even looks like made a little practice flute. This is a smaller scale, so you can carry it around a little bit easier. But basically, this is what's really neat about this, are these flutes have not really been around from all the research that we've done, all the elders I've spoken to. They disappeared in the 50s. There might have been some in the 60s. But we have some photographs from the 1940s. We have some photographs from the early 1900s. And of course from the 1860s when the riverboats were still going around.
Yeah.
So it's a really unique opportunity to bring back a whole another aspect of like our musical tradition that's kind of been forgotten.
Yeah, something we're going to be shortly applying into our exhibit in our museum here, so that at least people that come through will get more information and get to see something, maybe something tangible that will show more many facets or different aspects about our tribe here, the Cocopah tribe.
That's really exciting. So stay tuned as I hopefully learn how to do this, and anyone who's interested in learning how to do this, as I learn to play and I squeak and make terrible noises, you guys can follow along on that journey until hopefully I can play a Cocopah flute. It's been a dream, like I said, since I was a kid. So stay tuned and come back to Cocopah TV for more.